And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Alix Steel. We're counting you down to the closing bell, and here they'll take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast. Scarlet Fu joining us here in the TV studio. Carol Massar, all alone. Apparently, Tim Stenovic got fed up with her. So Carol is going to have to do all the heavy lifting today.
Nobody wanted to play with me today.
And he's missing out here, Carol. This is a pretty good day in the markets. We've been talking about the S&P flirting with another record high, but really just an overall embrace right now of risk assets, something that we hadn't really seen over the past couple of months.
Kind of interesting. I feel like the last hour and a half to see investors kind of coming in and bidding up this market on the equity side of things. I'm looking at something like the SOX, the semiconductor index, really some outperformance there, Scarlet, up 1.7%. Wells Fargo increasing its price target on NVIDIA today to $11.50 a share from $9.70. So giving some momentum certainly to that space today.
Yeah, but it's really a waiting game until tomorrow's CPI. And in the meantime, the big movers, again, come from those meme stocks, whether it's GameStop, whether it's AMC, whether it's anything else, Hertz, you name it.
Yeah, and that's why the Nasdaq is outperforming in terms of, well, actually the equity price, and also in terms of volume too. That's a meme stock story, and something I was bringing up with Mark Lucchini of Janney Montgomery Scott is, if the meme mania is here again, can financial conditions actually be tight enough for the Fed to cut?
Also interesting, too, to see some of the big bids that we're seeing in a lot of, I guess, those sort of energy-related stocks. So we were talking about Plug Power a little bit earlier. Enphase getting a nice bid. You're seeing the EV stocks as well, and some of that, of course, being fueled right now by the latest news out of the Biden administration, increasing those tariffs and restrictions on imports of Chinese goods in the same space. Let's walk you through the numbers here as we get the closing bells on this Tuesday afternoon. With the Dow Jones Industrial Average posting up about 100 points higher than where it was yesterday. That's good enough for a gain of about 0.3%. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 is going to close right around that 52.46 for Mark. Remember, the all-time high was 52.54 and change set back in late March here. So really just a tick or two away from that tomorrow, should this optimism hold. Up today, 0.5%. The Nasdaq Composite up about 0.8% here on the day, and the outperformer was those smaller cap names, as a lot of those meme stocks really sort of fueled a big rally there. The Russell 2000 up 1.2%.
All right, we do talk about the meme stocks a lot, but as you guys said at the top, Romaine, I think you said it, you know, the risk on trade, we are definitely seeing it. I mean, you look at the S&P 500, most names, Scarlet in the index higher today, 320 to the upside, 183 losing some ground though.
Yeah, and I've been steadily tracking the industry group movers and how everything's moved towards the green. So that's why the big pie is mostly green. Tech, of course, the biggest sector in the S&P 500, up 0.9%, leading the advance. Supermicro is the outperformer there. REITs and financials also gaining at least 0.5%. On the downside, you've got industrials, little change, so it's a laggard, but staples and energy stocks finishing in the red.
All right, you know where I'm going to go for my gainers because I kind of have to. I'm looking at these meme stocks. So GameStop at its highs, up almost 113% today, finishing the day with about a 60% gain. That's after a 74% gain in yesterday's session. So we're talking about in the last 2 days up 180%. I mean, I got nothing.
Enough said on that one.
Let's just go to AMC because the same story, up almost 129% at its highs today, finishing the day with a gain of about 32%. So a little bit of a swing there, and that's on top of an almost 80% gain yesterday. So I don't know what that says. It shows the willingness of investors to play in this market and take some risk in a big way. So fascinating to see that. And here's one more logical, perhaps, on holding. Up at its highs, about 21%, finishing the day with about an 18% gain. Swiss sneaker maker, disclosure, I own them. I like them. Posted strong first quarter revenue. No, I own the sneakers.
Her and Tim, they're cool there.
Posted strong first quarter revenue, nudging its sales forecast higher for the year, boosted by demand for its running shoes and new line of training apparel. So again, up. I'm looking at quarterly sales up about 29% from a year ago, and that was ahead of market expectations. So investors pretty happy, guys.
So it was kind of hard to find some decliners, but I managed to find some. Let's go to the media space. We'll start with Paramount. It went from $13 and change to below $12 to $11.89 after CNBC reported that Sony and Apollo are rethinking their bid for Paramount. That's not to say that a deal can't happen.
Will somebody just do something on it?
I know.
So
that's what Sherry Redstone is thinking too. Will someone just do something, please? Apparently, Sony hasn't even signed an NDA, which means that they haven't really begun the due diligence on this. So you can see the stock, finishing down about 5.25%. Netflix, it had fallen as much as 1.3%. It ended up paring some of those those losses, but it is still the biggest decline this month, losing about half of 1%. Comcast says it will offer a streaming bundle that includes the Peacock service, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix in order to reduce subscriber churn. No word on pricing. Notable only because it's another streamer that's not doing too well today. And let's end with CVS. The CFO says the company's Aetna insurance unit may lose up to 10% of Medicare members as it tries to boost profitability. How? How's it going to do that? Well, Aetna will reduce benefits for members, including popular offerings like over-the-counter health products, transportation assistance that had played a big role in attracting seniors to its private Medicare plans.
All right, well, here we go. We see that headline there. Nasdaq ends day at record high, but you're also seeing a bid into the bond market all across the curve, yields moving lower. Simon White is a macro strategist for Bloomberg, and he was saying that the more days when stocks and bonds are positively correlated versus when they're not increases the likelihood that, guess what, guys, bad news is good news, and that dynamic can continue to persist, at least in the near term, and you wonder if we're going to see that dynamic play out tomorrow, guys.
All right, so everything is awesome, everybody. No, it's really not. And I'm going to bring you to the story that is out here from the New York Fed. U.S. household debt has reached a record. More borrowers are struggling to keep up. Overall, U.S. household debt rose to $17.7 trillion. This was a report that they put out today. That's an increase of about $184 billion or 1.1% from the fourth quarter. Consumers adding, Scarlet, $3.4 trillion in debt since the pandemic, and that increased debt bears much higher interest rates, which we know becomes problematic.
Absolutely. You look at the charts for auto loans or credit cards, and it goes straight up and to the right. Certainly an issue here, especially for the lower income strata of Americans.
Yeah, the only thing is, I hate to sort of do this because I know everyone always says, oh, you have to look at the ratios and everything else. But in that same report, they kind of just basically said, too, that a lot of these numbers are just going back up to kind of what they were pre-pandemic before all that, government stimulus came in and gave everyone that cushion. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least it's not like, I guess, some extreme level.
But then you also have to take a look at, say, the NFIB, which surprised to the upside today in a good way, right? So maybe, and that was a worry for the last few months. So maybe some of the cracks maybe be dissipating a little bit on that end. But
and one thing that I thought was interesting in that NFIB report too was the part of the survey where they basically said they don't plan on raising prices, those small businesses. So that should be welcome news to consumers and I guess to the Fed as well.
Yeah, but is anybody cutting prices?
No.
I don't know.
If you know of a place, let me know. Well, it's funny you say that. I'm curious. Have you? I don't know how much you shop, but have you seen like any significant?
No, I don't
discounts?
shop. People just bring me things. That's how it works in my life.
Gosh,
No, of course I shop. Of course I shop. So, what's your question? Go ahead.
You missed it. I moved on. Now, do you watch TV, Carol Massar?
I watch a fair amount of TV.
All right. There's another story that I've been keeping an eye on.
I actually watch what you're going to go to.
Okay. Can I go there?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Thanks. So one thing is basically 10% of us are just watching YouTube now. How about that? Basically, I thought this was interesting. It's kind of what we know, right? Is that so much of our viewing habits have shifted to these streaming services, but it's not necessarily the Netflixes and the Paramounts of the world. It's actually YouTube. And I don't know about you, Scarlett. You have, I think, kids around my age. My son, he only watches YouTube. He doesn't watch anything else.
I have a theory, which is that all seniors and babies, or maybe young children, watch YouTube. Like, they're driving the adoption of YouTube. My parents, who are elderly, they just watch YouTube nonstop at very high volumes, by the way, but nonstop.
Can I just say, all right, for you, I have a husband who likes planes, and so he subscribes to very specific niche channels that are like pilots and so on and so forth. I sail, and so we subscribe to all of these channels of people who are sailing around the world. It's very niche programming, and you think about really drilling down in terms of topics. That's a lot of what it is. It's kind of interesting and engaging.
Remember we were talking about the hydraulic presses and the Apple commercial? There's a hydraulic press channel on YouTube.
So here's the thing, though, is that we're going to go, this whole I've been celebrating YouTube, and yes, they got 10% for Nielsen ratings, but you know what got 11.5%? Disney Plus. So we're not kick that habit. It's still a Marvel Star Wars world, let's be honest.
And Simpsons.
And Bluey.
Wasn't there a story about somebody bundling today, too? About a bunch of, right? We're going back to bundling in the streaming services. We're going there, Romaine. We're going there.
I thought the cable companies were over. What's happening?
Everything old is new again. Old people
Actually, I
and
shouldn't
babies,
say that.
Scarlet.
We love the
Old
cable
people and
company,
babies,
by the way.
YouTube.
Blah, blah, blah.
All right. That is a wrap. Our cross-platform. See what Tim missed? He missed a lot today. All right, that's a wrap. Our cross-platform on radio, TV, YouTube, and Bloomberg Originals.
Oh,
folks.
we are on YouTube.
Yeah, we really are.
Broad.
That's
There
what
you go.
led.
Very
That's
broad.
what led the rating increase, guys.
Beyond the Bell. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.